Title: She Moved In and Tried to Redesign My Life. Chapter 1: The Quiet Shift. When my girlfriend moved in, I thought it would be like flipping a page to a better chapter. We'd been together for 3 years. Things had their ups and downs like any relationship, but I loved her. I was ready for the next step. The first few weeks were great. We cooked together, set up our space, and talked about making it feel like home for both of us. But then one night, after a long shift at her job, she asked for a massage. I said sure, why not? I set the mood: low lights, relaxing music. It turned into 2 full hours. My hands were sore, but she seemed so at peace, so I figured, hey, it was worth it. A few nights later, she asked again. Then again. And again. Before I knew it, giving her 1 to 2 hour massages had become the new normal, 4 times a week. There was no discussion. No asking how I felt. She'd just cue up her favorite show, lie down, and extend a hand like royalty. No talking. No variation. Just expectation. At first, I told myself I was being a good partner. But the resentment started to build. My knees hurt. My hands throbbed. And most nights I just wanted to sit down, unwind, or play a game. But she'd block the screen, lay in front of me, or grab my hands and put them on her back until I gave in. I tried talking to her. I suggested she get a professional massage instead. She refused, said she didn't want strangers touching her. This is us spending time together, she told me. But was it? It started feeling less like love, and more like obligation. And then came the moment I cracked. Chapter 2: The Breaking Point. I tried every gentle approach I could think of. I told her my hands were hurting, that 2 hours several times a week was too much. I offered to pay for spa visits, real ones with professionals trained for this. She said no. I don't want someone else touching me, she repeated. It's not about the massage. It's about us being close. But it didn't feel close. I started to feel like a service. Like my comfort no longer mattered. So I pushed back a little harder. Suggested we find other ways to connect. Watch a show together, go for walks, cook side by side. But nothing was enough. If I said no to a massage, she sulked. She'd lie across the floor, blocking my path. Why? Grab my hands and place them on her shoulders. One night I'd had enough. I'd come home from a grueling day, drained from work, when she asked again. I said no calmly. She frowned, folded her arms, and said I wasn't being supportive. That's when the words slipped out, bitter, exhausted, honest. What if I asked you for a 2-hour BJ every time I had a bad day? Would that be fair? She froze. Then exploded. That's disgusting. Selfish. You know I hate that. Exactly. I told her I didn't even want one. That I just needed her to see how it felt, how one-sided this had become. Her needs, her wants, her comfort. What? Irrelevant. She didn't get it. She just called me immature and stormed off. But deep down, I knew something had changed. That night the love didn't feel the same. And worse, neither did she. Chapter 3: The Unraveling. After that night, everything started to come undone. Quietly at first, then all at once. She didn't speak to me for 2 days. When she finally did, it was to tell me that real couples make sacrifices. I agreed, but sacrifices went both ways. I asked her, calmly, when she planned to start making any. She didn't answer. Instead, she doubled down. Asked for another massage the following week like nothing happened. I refused. Again. And that's when the little cracks in our relationship started to spread. She began criticizing how I cleaned. Rearranged the furniture while I was at work, then complained I hadn't helped. Stopped bringing me tea at night even though I'd made it for her daily for years. When I asked why, she told me to get it myself. She wanted the gaming room we set up together to reflect her style. My desk? Moved. My chair? Replaced. The space I once called my own was now just another place she occupied. I looked around one night and realized nothing in the house felt like mine anymore. Not the routine. Not the layout. Not even the peace. I had built a life with a woman who, once she moved in, slowly took over, not with love but with quiet entitlement. Then came the final blow. She stood in the kitchen one morning, smiling like nothing had changed, and asked if we could start fresh. I asked what that meant. She said, "You make me tea, rub my back tonight, and maybe I'll surprise you." That's when I felt it, something break inside me. The part that had been trying, hoping, giving. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I didn't recognize the woman in front of me anymore. Chapter 4: The Goodbye She Never Saw Coming. I spent the next few days in quiet reflection. I played games again. Went for walks. Breathed. For the first time in months, I reclaimed silence. Not the kind she enforced during massages, but real, honest peace. I knew what I had to do. I asked her to sit down calmly and told her I was done, that I wanted her to move out. She laughed at first like it was a joke. When she realized I wasn't bluffing, her face changed. Accusations flew. You're overreacting. You don't love me. This is just what couples go through. But it wasn't what I signed up for. I told her I didn't fall in love with someone who expected devotion without reciprocity, labor without appreciation, obedience without love. I told her the massages weren't the problem. The problem was that once she moved in, I stopped matching. She said I was selfish, that I needed to grow up. Then, in one last desperate attempt, she offered what she'd refused for years. She offered to give me what she thought I wanted. But it was too late. I told her no. That love wasn't a transaction. That she could stay in the guest room until she found somewhere else. The next day she left with her sister. Her father called, furious, told me I was failing as a man. Said I should have done whatever it took to make his daughter happy. Even threatened legal action, said she was on the deed. She wasn't. I laughed and reminded him, this was my home, bought with my blood, my hours, my effort. She never paid rent. I even put some utilities in her name to help her build credit. Now I sit here, alone but not lonely. My hands no longer ache. My room is mine again. The silence is mine too. And I've learned something I wish I'd realized sooner. Love should never feel like servitude.